Hello, and welcome back to Spaces or Laces. I'm your host, Jeff Meyer. Got a lot of things I want to talk about today. I'm really excited. Have a new setup. Hopefully sound a little better. Last week, tried out the mic a little closer. Sounded okay, but I noticed I had a lot of popping sounds, so I went out and got a pop filter. Sounds a little better to me. But first off, diving on in today, I want to start out with the Light 'em Up segment. I'm going after Ezekiel Elliot today, James Franklin, and Rob Schneider. First off, we'll turn our attention to Rob Schneider because he's an interesting person to go after. But I just saw on Twitter this morning a piece he did about, guess who? Colin Kaepernick, going after the NFL, after head coaches, organizations saying that Colin Kaepernick should be an NFL quarterback. Well, guess what? I said it before. Hate bringing up being a dead horse, but I have to say it because Rob Schneider, listen, you don't know football. Colin Kaepernick cannot make all the throws. He is not a starting NFL quarterback. And you and your little piece are saying, you know, he's definitely going to be a backup in the NFL. Michael Vick comes back. He's back in the NFL. Well, guess what? Who gives a shit about backups in the NFL? They make a lot of money, good lifestyle for them, but guess what? There's tons of backups, but none of them are starters. When you have a backup in the NFL, you expect that they can go in, make all the throws, and be a starter. Colin Kaepernick has proven time in and time again that he is not a starter in the NFL. So Rob Schneider, please stick to movies, do your thing. Listen, you're probably the best Mel Gigolo of all time, in my opinion. My favorite Mel Gigolo. Those movies you had over the years, hilarious. You and the Water Boy, hilarious. Like, I can go on about your movie career. One of the funniest dudes ever, hilarious. But guess what? You don't know shit about football. Let's stay between the lines here. Stay in your own lane. Football, leave it to the professionals, because guess what? You don't know anything about Colin Kaepernick. You're just going out there trying to make your name relevant again. He's not a good football player. All right, obviously he's a good football player. I should rephrase. He is not a starting NFL quarterback caliber player. That's what he's not. Good football player, good in college, had a few good years, had a good run. Guess what? It's over. Sorry. Now, turning to Ezekiel Elliot. Oh, man, that's bad. That was real bad last week. If I'm the Cowboys coach, Jason Garrett, I'm having a serious one-on-one talk with Ezekiel Elliott after that shit. I think it was in the third quarter, last week's game against Denver. You're losing by a couple. It's rough waters for you. You're not used to that in the NFL yet. You had a bad game. You're losing at a hostile, tough environment to play at. You're not running good. I think you averaged, what was it? Excuse me, not average, but ended with 9 carries, 8 yards. That's pathetic. But for you to give up on yourself, your teammates, your coaches, the organizations is inexcusable. Just thinking about it as a former player, if one of my teammates did that shit, I swear to God after the game, I'm grabbing him and putting him into the locker and be like, what the fuck are you doing out there? I know it's the NFL, they're professionals. Some could argue, I've talked to some Cowboy fans this week, some could argue that you don't want him going after the tackle, you don't want him getting hurt, looking back for a crackback block, all that kind of stuff. Because I know defenses, they're looking to put someone down in those situations. When they get a pick and they're returning it, they go after quarterbacks, they go after running backs, they go after receivers. Guess what? You're a professional football player. You need to make a play, not just stand there, hands on hips, wishing you were somewhere else in some nightclub or whatever the hell you do. Run him down, make the tackle, help your team. Like, act like you've been there before. I know it's uncharted territory for you guys being down that much. Obviously, the worst game of his career to that point. But damn, don't give up on your team. Don't give up in the middle of the field. If I'm a coach, I'm pretty pissed. No doubt about it. I'm pissed. I don't even like the Cowboys. I'm pissed. Because not only has he had off-the-field issues, now he clearly has on-the-field issues. I'm the Cowboys. I'm scared now. You always can count him on the field, giving his all, giving an A+ effort, having a lot of rushing yards, touchdowns. But in that game, I know he is, some off the field. You're talking about off the field issues. Doesn't even know if he's going to play week to week. Maybe it's mentally draining on him. Maybe that's why he's giving up and shit. But if you're the Cowboys, you're concerned because always he was golden on the field, and now he is on the field issues coupled with off the field issues. Oh boy, I'm a little nervous on the Cowboys now. But now flipping to college with my part of my Light 'em Up segment, James Franklin. Oh boy. Where do I begin with this one? James Franklin, you are an asshat. Let's start there. What you did last weekend is inexcusable. Playing some poor podunk team. I don't even know what to say. You can say a lot of terms. Some team that didn't deserve to be on the field with you. You're up 56-0. End of the game, and you fucking iced the kicker. It's laughable. I'm half pissed / think this is the most funny thing I've ever heard. Like, don't you have any respect for football, the other coaches, the players? Like, dude, you gave them a royal ass whooping. Did whatever you wanted. These poor kids get in a position to kick a field goal at the end of the game to put some points on the board. They can at least hold their heads high a little bit as they leave the stadium. And you fucking call a timeout. And then later, as a PR move, as a move where your Penn State cult fellow people can tell someone and, lean back on a crutch that, oh, we didn't have a fourth team field goal block. Dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? If you have 6 guys out there, don't call a timeout. Just let them kick it. You have the game won. Who gives a shit about your style points? Have some fucking class. So not only does he go after Pitt and my fellow Panthers and Pat Narduzzi and saying, well, this win was Akron. I know it's the Pitt Panthers Super Bowl out here. Well, guess what, bud? First off, last year when they beat your ass at home 42-39, they then beat the national champs in Clemson. If anything was their Super Bowl, I saw people say it on Twitter, if anything was their Super Bowl last year, it was beating Clemson, not your sorry asses. So then, not only do you have don't have class, after the Pitt win this year, you then pull this shit the week later against a nobody school. I don't even know who the fuck they played. No idea. But I know he called a timeout at the end of the game to ice a kicker. Just so he can have a shutout. Man, that's classless. So, this week on Light 'em Up, I had to talk about James Franklin's stupid ass, Ezekiel Elliot, and Rob Schneider talking football when the only thing he's good at is being a Mel Gigolo in movies. Oh, it's been an interesting week. But, so turning the corner here, I want to go into kind of a little story time. The guys talked about on the big show this week, Richie and Matty B. Just want to talk a couple years ago about our experience of going to Michigan. My cousin was a grad student at the time at Michigan. He knew that I was a Michigan fan growing up. He asked if I wanted to go to Michigan. He's like, I got extra student tickets. They're giving them away free. Selling them. I can't remember the details. I think he went into some depth on that in the big show. But just I want to give it my perspective. So, growing up, went to a couple Penn State games. Oh, God, I can't believe I did that. I've been to Pitt games. I've been to multiple NFL stadiums. My experience going up to the big house for the first time was a hell of an experience. I'm in college. I think I might have been 21, 22 at the time, somewhere around there. I definitely was over 21, but we go up to Michigan. He drives, we have a hell of a time. We tailgate before the game. We go to a frat party before the game, just have some fun. It's unbelievable, the experience up there. Coming as being a Pitt student where, as I've talked in depth, the college football atmosphere at Pitt isn't quite like the Big Ten and University of Michigan's football experience. So we go up there, have a fucking blast. It is such a great time. We go in the stadium. I think it was the first time they have a sellout crowd. It was crazy because everyone was fucking pissed. They only had like 110,000 110,000 people in the stadium. Student section wasn't completely full. Everyone around me in the student section, including my cousin, were pissed. They were livid because one of the things in Michigan they pride themselves on is selling the big house out. And it is, if I remember correctly, and to this point still, it is the largest college stadium in the United States as far as Division I football is concerned. I think it's the biggest stadium, period. But anyhow, at Michigan, they have tradition, they have pride, and they sell out football games, and it is the biggest stadium in the country. So everyone was super pissed. I'm in awe. I'm looking around like, This is the largest crowd I've ever been a part of. I've been the Super Bowl, not Super Bowl, excuse me, NFL playoff games, AFC championships in Pittsburgh, electric crowds, and I look around and this crowd is enormous. People are pumped up, and Michigan wasn't even good that year. I think it was Hoke was still. Oh god, I'm lapsing here because it's not really important anymore because got Harbaugh now and everything. But the coach was there, and freaking Michigan was losing to Minnesota. My cousin Richie, before on the way up to Michigan, it was like a 6-hour drive or whatever. He was talking about Jim Harbaugh and hiring him. And at this point, there wasn't many people talking about it. I mean, there was whispers that he might go to Michigan and stuff like that. But we were talking about the whole way up there. We're in the stadium. Michigan's losing to Minnesota, which is embarrassing, especially at home in the big house. To 110,000 people there, which isn't even a big deal for Michigan. But you have that kind of crowd. You're losing to Minnesota. And he looks at me. He's like, let's start a hire Harbaugh chant. I'm like, all right. The one kid beside us overheard him. He's like, who's Harbaugh? My cousin explained who he is. He's like, the old 49ers coach. And that kid's like, oh, man, he's a pretty good coach. Do you think he'd come to Michigan? And my cousin's like, yeah, he played at Michigan. There's a great chance he's coming. So in the student section, we started a hire Harbaugh chant. Started kind of soft, then it got loud. Little do we know, after the game, we saw on ESPN literally a picture that we zoomed in on it. We're in the middle of it, and it says, student section hires a fire. I think it was Hogue chant. Well, it was completely wrong. We were saying hire Harbaugh, but it was just hilarious that we actually are on national TV, ESPN, about hiring Harbaugh months before it happens. It was funny, one of my good college friends, we talked about this at length. We got in a lot of heated arguments about this because I was all in. I'm like, all right, Harbaugh's going back to Michigan. It's going to happen. He's going to rebuild Michigan from the ground up, bring it back to its national dominance, like bring back the pride to Michigan, to the Wolverines. And my friend's like, there's no way it's happening. There's no way. You don't go from college to the NFL and be successful and go back to college. His argument was the only way you go back to college if you're not successful in the NFL. He's like, Harbaugh was clearly successful, took the Niners to Super Bowl, should have won the championship, lost to the Ravens in a tight game against his brother. But these, like, my friend's like, there's no way he's going back to college. I'm like, listen, he's going to do it. I have faith. The pride of Michigan has faith. Harbaugh's coming home. And well, as you know, months later, my friend was eating his words. He's like, you know what, Jeff, I talked a lot of shit to you, and you were right. And I'm like, listen, it wasn't me, it was my cousin. My cousin was it, and I rode the bandwagon too. We were all in on it, and luckily, Jim Harbaugh did come to Michigan. But I also wanted to bring up the Michigan story because then, I think it was the year later, I don't know, Harbaugh was definitely the coach at this point. So I can't remember if it was my senior year of college or fifth year, because I ended up getting 5 years at Pitt. Can't remember the year off the top of my head, but I went to Michigan. My cousin couldn't make the game, so he sent me in the mail his student ticket, and all I had to do was pay $60 to validate his student ticket since I wasn't a student to use it. And I went to the Michigan State game of all games. So the night before the game, two of my good friends, they're like, what the hell? Why aren't you going out tonight? Like, what's the deal? It's Friday night. Let's go out. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to bed. I have to drive to Michigan tomorrow. And they're like, what the hell are you driving to Michigan for? Because I'm like, listen, I'm going to Michigan to watch Michigan thump Michigan State at home. I'm like, the Wolverines are bringing it home tomorrow. I'm going by myself, and I'm going to the game. And they're like, what the hell is the weirdest thing I've ever heard? You're driving 6 hours by yourself to go to a game. I'm like, hey, man, YOLO, you only live once. Even though I hate that phrase, YOLO, I'm like, dude, you only live once. I'm just going for it. I remember how fun it was when Michigan was bad. Michigan's good this year. Want to go up, experience the tailgating, want to go to the game, want to be in the student section. I'm going. So my two friends were like, hey, fuck it. We're going with two. So they drove with me to Michigan, didn't have tickets. Long story short, we tailgated. They tried to get tickets to go in the game. Before the game, they're like $350. They were $150 at halftime. They never made it in the game. I did. I went in early, got a good seat because my cousin was in grad school. I had great seats. But I'll tell you this, it was one of the worst experiences of my life / one of the greatest experiences of my life, because that student section was electric. Unbelievable. It was so much fun watching that game, but at the same token, I couldn't move. That student section, it was a sold-out crowd. I can't remember. There might have been 118, 119,000 people in the stadium. I couldn't move in the student section. I'm pretty sure the row that I was sitting in was only supposed to have 25 people in it. I counted at halftime. There was 35 in the row. And the reason why I could is because in the student section of Michigan, everyone stands the entire time they play. But at halftime, as soon as that clock strikes 0, everyone jumps down and takes a seat real quick. Well, me being there up with my cousin the year before, I knew this. So I was ready. I got down real quick, got a seat. Well, looking across the row, there's like 25 people sitting and 10 standing. I'm like, holy shit, there's so many people here. So not only the reason why I was so miserable in the whole first half and then all the third quarter, because listen, I left early. I left at the end of the third quarters. I thought Michigan had it wrapped up. I literally ghosted because the entire first half and then the entire third quarter, I stood sideways in the row watching the game. My neck hurt, my shoulder hurt. I was basically grinding on two dudes. Didn't enjoy it. It was the worst. Like, I'm trying to use my body, push people out of the way because I'm a bigger guy. And there was so many people in the row behind me and row in front of me. My row, literally you couldn't breathe. At this point, I'm sober. Like, if anything, I'm hungover. So I'm hungover watching a game, trying to enjoy it, trying to enjoy the atmosphere. But I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. My shoulders hurt. My back hurt. I can't put into words how flustered and how excited. Everyone's screaming, cheering, chanting. Unbelievable experience. But couldn't breathe. Couldn't stand. I went to the bathroom at one point just to have a break from the people. Didn't even have to go to the bathroom. I just needed to breathe. Then I had to go back and swim basically back into the section. It was unbelievable. But with the same, just finishing that story up here, I fucking ghost. I ghosted in the third quarter. I'm like, oh my God, I need to get out of here. I'm going to watch the rest of the game on my phone as I'm driving home. So we're going home, and my buddy's girlfriend at the time, they're now married, she calls and oh my God, did you see what happened at the end of the Michigan State game? Is Jeff okay? And Pete's like, what are you talking about? And she told him, Michigan State blocked the Michigan punt. Michigan State won. Michigan lost. And I was shocked. I literally just wanted to drive my car off the road. I just wanted to wreck on purpose. I was so angry. I'm like, I missed it. I missed one of the most iconic Michigan moments of all time in their rivalry, in-state rivalry. I missed it just because I couldn't breathe. So I went ghost mode. Watched the entire game. Michigan won, dominated the entire game, and then lost it because of a blocked punt. And I wasn't there after driving 6 hours to be there. So shame on me. I won the douchebag of the year award that year, at least in college football sense, because I was at that game and left early, as I'm sure a bunch of other people did. But man, that was a bad look by me. I'm supposed to be a Michigan fan, and I toasted early. Disappointed myself. I brought shame to my family, but oh man, it was a fun game to be at until that moment. Actually, it's probably better for everyone around me that I wasn't there for that, because I don't know how I would have handled that. There might have been kids laid out, pushed to the ground. I probably would have freaked out. But that's the end of my little story time there. Just wanted to get into that with the guys in the big show talking about the Michigan seating. But yeah, that's why I want to bring it up. Is the seating in that stadium is unbelievable. You pack I don't even know the number, but I'm assuming 120,000 people into a stadium. The bleachers are 6 inches wide. You get 30, 35 people in a row, screaming, diehard fans, the passion, the atmosphere, the excitement's all there. It's a fun time. College football is a different experience. I love NFL. I honestly probably like NFL a little bit more in college, but man, college is just so much fun. There's all the passion, the diehard fans. You got the people at Penn State, part of the Penn State cult. They get into it, and I love it. It's a lot of fun. That's one thing I will say. As much as I hate Penn State, though, I respect Beaver Stadium and those fans, they get into it. They really, really enjoy it, and it's fun. But talking about people really getting into it, I want to go flip back to the NFL a little bit here. Joe Thomas. I'm sure you guys have seen at length all the stuff, the 10,000 plus snaps he's played consecutively in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns. There's no words, nothing you can say to accurately describe how impressive and how unbelievable that is. I knew dudes in high school, middle school, who got hurt, who couldn't last the whole season because it was too brutal, too grinding. Now multiply that by 1 million. Multiply it by 100,000 then just to get to college. The game, every level you go up from middle school to high school to college, the NFL, it just the energy, the speed of the game, the I don't want to say it, like the force that is exerted on you and you get tackled and hit people just amplifies. It's unbelievable the differences between the levels of football. And this dude never missed a snap or whatever. I don't know exactly what it was, but 10,000 straight plays in the NFL. He didn't get sick. All I know is we should do some research on this dude's immune system. Might find something interesting because how the hell did he not get sick? So he did it for over 10 years in the NFL. So let's date back to 2009, at least in Pennsylvania. We had the swine flu go around. There's people sick everywhere. I know this is Western PA. I don't know how it was over in Ohio, but he was playing for the Cleveland Browns, so living in the area. I'm assuming not that far. There might have been a lot of people sick. Every year there's people sick. You have the flu, you have bugs. This dude never had a migraine, never had the flu, didn't get swine flu. If he was sick, he clearly played through it. Blows my mind. How in the NFL do you play at that high level for all those years? You don't break a hand, you don't break a foot, ankle, don't blow a knee, don't hurt a shoulder. Clearly he had injuries that he played through, but nothing significant enough where he had to stay out. This dude might be the all-time Iron Man. They used to call Brett Favre, I think he had 207 consecutive starts at quarterback. Called him Iron Man, I'm pretty sure. Can't remember exactly. But anyway, super impressive at quarterback. This motherfucker, Joe Thomas, did it at offensive lineman. He was an offensive lineman. Pretty sure he's a tackle, I remember correctly. But so all those years, the Browns are getting blown out. They're losing. They're not competitive. They don't have a chance of making the playoffs. This motherfucker is still out there grinding through injuries, grinding through pain, playing hard, playing at an extremely high level. He's an all-pro. Somehow does it with the Cleveland Browns. I'd understand a little bit more if he did it with a great franchise who, had a chance of winning a lot of games, playoff games, Super Bowls. But he did this with the Browns over an extended period of time where they weren't even relevant. Didn't win games at all. So, hats off to you. I know I got banged up back in the day. I mean, I played through my injuries in middle school and high school. But dude, that's the fucking pee-wees compared to the NFL. Not even relevant. I shouldn't even have brought it up. But you did it in the NFL. Hats off to you. There's no all-time Iron Man. For you to do that in the NFL is unbelievable. It's wow, yeah, someone needs to study you, your body, your immune system. They gotta do some extensive research on you because you're one durable motherfucker. So, hats off to you. And Joe Thomas, what a career. Just out there grinding day in and day out. But so to end the podcast, or not end podcast, we got a couple more things actually. Looking at the plate here. Now I just want to go into some college flip. We'll stay in the NFL. Sorry about that. We're going to stay in the NFL. I'm going to go through some picks for the week. Go through some betting lines. I wrote down all the lines here on my right. But there's 5 that stick out to me that I'm going to be placing some money on this weekend, making some bets. Now, I have 2 lock'ems here. Oh, hell, lock'ems. 2 locks. I'm going to start with the first one. Seattle versus Tennessee. I like Tennessee this year. They're doing great things. But Seattle's +3. I really like that. I like that bet a lot. I'm going to put some money on that. Seattle +3 versus the Titans. My other one. Now, I'm 95% sure right now it's Denver at the Bills. But Denver's -3 after the freaking thumping they put on the Cowboys. You better believe and put some money on that. Those are my two losses. I'm taking Denver and Seattle. I love betting on good defenses. That's one of the things when you bet on quarterbacks and defenses. That's going to win a lot of times. That's going to make you some money. So I'm going to go with two great defenses there. I'm going to bet on Denver at the Bills. I don't know. I think it's Seattle at Tennessee too. But I'm going to take Seattle +3, Denver -3. It's my locks in the NFL this week. A couple other ones I like. I like the Rams -3 against the 49ers. Man, the 49ers are bad. But I think that's why the line's +3 for Seattle. Seattle sucked against the 49ers, and the 49ers are god-awful. But you got to remember, that's a divisional game. That's a divisional rivalry. So those are always a little closer than expected. But Seattle only beating them 12-9 is kind of concerning for the Seahawks. But I say you bounce back this week. You're going to beat the Titans. So I'm going to lock up that +3. Then I have the Rams beating the 49ers by more than 3 because the Rams are pretty good this year. When you got Todd Gurley, the defense is pretty solid. My boy Aaron Donald's back. I like what the Rams are doing. I was not hot on the Rams before the season. I started watching them play. Matty B was right. I'll tell you what, the Rams can play some football. Then I also want to say the Falcons. Falcons -3 versus the Lions. I like what the Lions are doing this year. Matt Stafford's coming out hot, playing well. But if you watch that Falcons-Packer game, oh man, I'll tell you what. The Falcons can play fucking football. I don't know if Beasley's going to be out this week, but he got hurt in the Packers game. That could, throw a little wrench in this. But when you watch the Falcons play right now, they're explosive on offense. They have so many weapons. You have Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Devontae Freeman. You have Coleman, too, as your change of pace back, and that guy's damn good, too. But what I like about the Falcons right now, Packers are still my team in the NFC. They're banged up, they're hurt, which kind of scares me, though, because it's early in the season. They're already having, the injury train go through Green Bay. But I'll say this. The Falcons are good. I could definitely, Richie was right a couple weeks ago. Man, I could easily see the Falcons and Packers in the NFC rematch. The Falcons, what I like about the Falcons most is their defense. They are fast. They play fast. Now, I know the Packers have some injuries on offense, but there was multiple times in that game when I saw them going cover one, going man-to-man throughout across the board and having one safety over top against the Packers. That is hard to do in the NFL. You only see that normally in the red zone situations. The Falcons were doing it at midfield. They had so much confidence that their defensive players could go man up with the Green Bay Packers and not let up big yards when Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback. Now, I know they didn't have two starting linemen on the offensive Packers line, which that showed. I mean, the Falcons defense might have looked a little better than advertised because of that. But they looked good. They played fast. They brought a lot of pressure. When you have Aaron Rodgers a quarterback, as a defensive person, I'm never running cover one, ever. And the Falcons did it multiple times and was successful doing it. Falcons are going to be scary. They're going to be scary. And before we get to college, I just want to talk about our Pittsburgh Steelers, my Pittsburgh Steelers. They're playing at Chicago, -7.5 at Chicago. I think I'm going to be putting money on the Steelers, but I'm a homer. I mean, you can't take that. There's not much you can do with that because I like the Steelers almost every time they play this year. Because when you have Antonio Brown, Ben Roethlisberger, Martavis Bryant, and Le'Veon Bell on offense, I like your chances. Man, TJ Watt, he's really bringing it on defense. I really, really like what the Steelers are doing right now. Their team looks very talented. This is the first time in a couple years that they've been pretty solid on the depth chart. They got some players. The fact that James Harrison, after doing what he did last year towards the end of the year, isn't seeing any snaps is a good thing. Because he's an older dude. He had a great career. Defensive player of the year. Great career. But he's an older dude. And the fact that we don't have to use him makes me very, very happy because I believe James Harrison can still play at a very high level. So, defense is getting a lot better than it was in the last couple of years. The offense has weapons. One guy I like too, I like Eli Rogers. I mean, he doesn't get quite the love, considering you have Martavis Bryant, Antonio Brown. There's a lot of love to spread around with that offense. So Eli Rogers usually doesn't get too much, but I like him. He catches the ball. He's trustworthy. He makes good plays. Man, the Steelers are fun right now. I'm really excited for this season. And honestly, I'll probably be taking a -7.5 against the Bears. But talking about how much I like the Steelers, mad respect goes out to the Bears head coach. I just saw this week that he publicly said that he is not going to the rookie quarterback, Trubisky, that I like a lot. Talked in volumes about him in the preseason. Liked what he did. Liked his composure in the pocket. Liked how he carried himself. Liked how he went through his progression. There was no one there. Got outside the pocket. Hit his checkdowns. Did all the things you want to see a rookie quarterback do. And I'm so glad they're not throwing in the towel with Mike Glennon and going to him, because I want them to sit him for a year. Let him learn. Coach him up. Let him develop. Let Mike Glennon go out and win some games for you, because I think he can win some games. The Bears only lost 6 points to the Falcons at home. Right there should tell you how good the Falcons look right now. The Bears aren't as bad as everyone thinks. But with that being said, I think the Steelers are going to go and put a thumping on them in Soldier Field. I like the Steelers a lot at the Bears. It's going to wrap up my NFL for the week. Now just to get a little high tempo through college football here. Pitt versus Georgia Tech. Oh man, I hate to do it. Georgia Tech's going to win. They're -8.5 right now. I don't know if they'll cover that, but after watching Pitt versus Oklahoma State, I don't like it. I don't like where Pitt's season's going to end up. But Georgia Tech's going to win that one. Flipping to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is playing TCU. You have 6 versus 16 this week. I didn't see where the game is being played at, but I like Oklahoma State a lot this year. Oklahoma State is probably the only one in the Big 12 who can compete with Oklahoma this year, which the guys on the Big Show talked about. They play each other in the regular season, then they're probably going to play each other for the Big 12 championship. I don't know if Oklahoma can beat them twice. I mean, there's a lot of football left to be played, but Oklahoma State looked very, very, very good at Pitt. They did whatever they wanted with the ball. Carved up the Pitt defense. Didn't let Pitt really score much, so I'm taking Oklahoma State versus 16-ranked TCU. Then one of the big games I'm looking at for the week, Georgia versus Mississippi State, I believe. Yeah, that's right. Georgia versus Mississippi State. I'm taking Georgia, taking my Bulldogs. Let's go. Oh, little sneak peek. I'm pretty sure me and a couple of my friends are going to a Georgia Bulldog game this year. We're going to go down to SEC country, see what it's all about, see what all the hype's all about. I think we're going to go down there and watch Georgia versus Kentucky. But hopefully Georgia keeps rolling, beats Mississippi State, keeps the train rolling. And then Michigan State versus Notre Dame. 77.3% of people are taking Notre Dame at ESPN. Well, ESPN, I think you guys suck these days. You had a little too many layoffs. I'm taking Michigan State. I am not sold on Notre Dame. I'm taking Michigan State in the Big Ten in that game. Then we got, Ohio State, UNLV. I don't know what I think about this game. Ohio State should win by a lot. If they don't, they're frauds. Maybe I was all in on too much on Ohio State this year. Maybe the team in the Big Ten is my Michigan Wolverines, who play Purdue this week, who are going to beat Purdue, the old Boilermakers. They're going to win. And then flipping to, me saying that Ohio State might be frauds this year, maybe the second best team in the Big Ten, because I'm taking Michigan as number one. It's going to be Penn State, and Penn State is playing Iowa this week. Oh, God, I want to take Iowa so bad, but my heart says Iowa. My head says Penn State. I'm going to go with my head. Penn State is going to beat Iowa this week. Barkley, going to light it up. He's my early. Him and Baker Mayfield are my Heisman hopefuls early. Those are my two favorite college players right now as far as the Heisman is concerned. I like them a lot. Barkley's going to chew up Iowa. Now, it's interesting, though, because maybe I'll retract a little bit here. But Penn State, Iowa is always fun. Because growing up, Richie was an Iowa fan, and Iowa over the years has spoiled a lot of Penn State seasons. I can remember, it's like clockwork. It's like this old, flashback film, just watching it. Or Penn State, Iowa, close game late. Iowa makes some ridiculous field goal to win the game and crushes Penn State's season. Maybe we'll see this weekend one more time. Maybe we'll go back, turn back Father Time a little bit and see another time where Iowa upsets Penn State. But my head says Penn State's going to win this weekend, but I'm hoping that Iowa reaches in that bag of magic and pulls out one against the Nittany Lions. Finally, last game I want to touch on, WVU versus Kansas. I think WVU's back on track. I like them in the Big 12. I don't think they can play with Oklahoma State or Oklahoma. I think they can play with TCU. I think they could be that third team in the Big 12. A lot of games left to play. Maybe they're a little better than I thought they are. I thought they were initially I thought they were really good. They go out and get spanked by Virginia Tech. Didn't really see that one coming. But they get back on track, beat two pretty crappy opponents. Now you're going to play a better team in Kansas, a little better team in Kansas, but we'll see. We'll see what WVU does this week. I'm excited. And then the final topic I wanted to touch on before ending the podcast for the day. So I saw an article on Reddit that I want to talk about. It was about tackle football in adolescence. Specifically, it was about young kids who play football, tackle football under the age of 12. Now, there was some research done, a study conducted by Boston University that basically said that kids at that age, under 12, obviously their mind's still growing, developing, a lot of things. Basically, they're still forming who they are going to be as a person. Their brain's growing, they're growing, going through puberty, transition, big time in life. But they said kids that play at that age are more likely, because of tackle football and concussions and repeated blows to the head, are more likely you're going to have emotional depression. Like, basically, they're more susceptible to mental problems as they grow up and become an adult because of these repeated blows to their head and concussions. And as a person that played Pee Wee football in age 9 through 19, 10 years of tackle football plus wrestling, which are, basically is the most contact you can get in sports. But it's kind of scary. Maybe someday I'll be a father. We'll see if that ever happens. But it's scary. If you're a father out there, you gotta be a little cautious. They were saying in the article that 1.23 million kids last year between the ages of 6 and 12 played tackle football in America. It's a lot of kids. A lot of kids out there who might have had concussions, might have went, undiagnosed, might have never got any treatment for it, might have gone unrecognized. A lot of kids out there could have some, future emotional anxiety problems. But as much as it's bad, and I want, people to realize that you got to really consider if you want your kids playing tackle football at that age, which part of the article, they said 53% of adults don't think their kids should play football before high school. Honestly, the more science I see, the more that I'm growing up and thinking, maybe it isn't a good idea for 10-year-olds to be out there slamming heads, tackling each other, and especially that age. Like, you're not really developed. You're too young to know how to play football properly. You got kids leading with their head, having their head down. Good way to break a neck. And you don't want to see a kid at that age get paralyzed over football, I'll tell you that much. But as I'm getting older, maybe it's not a good idea to have 10-year-olds playing tackle football. But I definitely think high school, middle school, it's such a slippery slope. It's not good at age 10. Is it even better at 13? It's hard to say. Like 13, you're in 7th grade or something like that. Maybe you let the kids get to 8th and 9th grade. Maybe you let them like 14 years old, 14, 15, when they start growing and becoming adults. Maybe wait to 8th or 9th grade. But I know I played tackle football in 3rd grade. And I loved every second of it. I made so many friends, got in shape. So I was a fat little kid. Good way of getting in shape. A lot of fun. But I'm definitely not on board with, erasing football at the face of the earth and any of that bullshit, because there's a lot of things, invaluable lessons you learn from football. It's a character builder. You learn responsibility. You learn how to be held accountable for your team and yourself. You learn to, work as a team towards a common goal of winning. It's just a great thing for life and your career, like your life after football. It's great for it. It's great for your career. So many things that you can take away from football that are good for you as an individual that can help you in your life and your future. So I don't want to be that person and say that we should just, let's forget about football. Let's play safer sports. Because at the end of the day, you can get a concussion in basketball. You can get a concussion in soccer. There's for years, think about it, dudes are drilling soccer balls at each other and they're heading them. They're hitting with their heads and shit. Telling me that's not a concussion, a repeated blow to the head? It's not good for you either. Then you have people getting hit in the head with baseballs and shit in baseball. I've over my life, I saw 2 kids when I was in like Pee Wee baseball. They get a foul ball off their bat, hits them right in the face, breaks their nose. That's not good for your head. That was definitely a concussive blow if a baseball hits you hard enough where it could break your nose. So, I mean, you got people out there skiing, people who snowboard. I saw people lose their shit skiing and snowboarding, land on their heads. There's definitely getting concussions. People do BMX, skateboarding. A lot of crazy shit out there. And you know what? It's a lot of fun, too. Grow up, you're a little adventurous, have some fun. There's nothing wrong with, people playing tackle football. That's the thing, too. You take the tackle football part out and, okay, you're not allowed to play organized football until you're 14, 15. You're telling me these kids aren't going to watch NFL players, college players on Saturdays and Sundays, watch them, want to be like them, go out in the backyard and not get concussions? Some of the hardest hits I've ever took in my life were when I was like 14. Me and my friends are so dumb, young, fearless, running at each other, no helmets on, just spearing each other. You're telling me kids aren't going to do that? I don't know. It's a weird generation, this new generation coming up, so maybe they aren't. Maybe they're just too busy on their phones, on Twitter, playing video games, doing their virtual reality shit. But I'm telling you this, if kids are even a tenth of what we were like when we were growing up, they're going to be out in the backyard playing wiffle ball, playing football. I mean, I just did it over Labor Day. Played tackle football with my friends in my 20s. Played in a wiffle ball tournament. Because guess what? When we grew up, we were outside having fun. Not sitting inside. Don't get me wrong, we played our fair share of Madden in the day and talked some shit playing Madden. There's no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, we were outside having fun. Like, I'd beg my mom, hey, drive to my friend's house. We're playing football today. It's like, oh, no, I don't really want to do that. Mom, please, just drop me off. Pick me up later. She's like, all right, I'll take you. Go for a swim, hide and seek, tackle football, wiffle ball, freeze tag, all this kind of shit. So, with that being said, like, today's society and health and fitness is a huge importance. So, if you don't have kids, if you don't want them playing tackle football between 6 and 12 years old, better have something like the NFL has their, the NFL Play 60 or whatever. You got to have things for kids to, number 1, stay out of trouble, 2, have some fun, and 3, meet friends, do physical activities outside, have some fun. So I can understand the argument on having kids play tackle football between 6 and 12, but give them a different alternative, a better alternative. Have something for them. But with that being said, I think I went a little longer than usual today. Had a lot of fun. Want to talk some shit. Just want to wrap it up real quick. James Franklin, you're an asshole. Light them up, baby. James Franklin, Ezekiel Elliot, and Rob Schneider. Listen, you guys are all fools. Don't know what the hell James Franklin was doing. Out 56, icing a kicker as bush league, bro. But you're better than that. Ezekiel Elliot, you're better than that too, dude. Make a fucking play. If my quarterback throws a pick, I'm going to run that guy down and try to put him in the ground for my quarterback. Don't stand there with your hands on your hips wishing you were somewhere else at some nightclub doing stupid ass shit. And Rob Schneider, stick to movies, man. Be our Mel Gigolo. Don't talk sports. And with that being said, this is Jeff here on Spaces or Laces, part of the Southbound Sports Show. Check us out. Emails at the bottom here. I'll just say it for everyone who's listening. Call us at 1-412-330-1512. Hit us up at SBound Sports on Twitter. Check us out on YouTube. We got a lot of things going on here. I guess the guys on the big show, Richie's trying to get us a different place, at least for him to conduct the Southbound Sports Show, try to rent something out or whatever. But we're trying to do big things here. We're trying to get more people involved. We've been reaching out to some people. Leave us voicemails. Hit us up on Twitter. Love to do some Skype calls with people, talk some shit, have some fun, talk sports. You want to get into some Rob Schneider movie, favorite movies, we can do that too. But mostly want to talk college, NFL football this time of the year. Oh, I haven't been looking at the MLB, but I just know the Pirates aren't doing good, not going to make the playoffs. So, yeah, hit us up. Let's talk some sports. Had a blast today. Got a better setup going. Sounds better. Having fun. Learning a little bit about this game. But everyone, this is Jeff over out on Spaces or Laces.